I never thought the day would come when I'd watch a neighborhood queen try to break into my house with a master key, all while my son was inside, and she had the nerve to say, "If you've got nothing to hide, you shouldn't mind me walking in." That's the punchline, right? But the only thing that went hiding that day was her courage when she realized rank means nothing when you're trespassing on a Marine's porch. Let me back up a sec. This wasn't a story about a few overgrown shrubs or a missed HOA payment. This was war, and the first shot fired didn't come in a letter or even a fine, but in a phone call that iced my veins in broad daylight. I was elbows deep under the hood of some beat-up sedan mind on work and hands black with grease when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Normally, I wouldn't even look, but the name on the screen, my son Leo, stopped me cold. He never called during the day unless it was serious. "Everything okay, son?" I asked, already feeling that tension build in my chest. Leo's voice was like granite, steady and low, not a tremor in it. "Dad, you need to come home. Now." That was it. I dropped my wrench. It clattered on the garage floor, louder than thunder, yelled to my partner that I had an emergency, and bolted for the door. The drive was a blur, red lights, angry horns. Nothing really registered until I screeched into my driveway. And what a scene, 2 police cars flashing blue and red, a ring of neighbors pretending to water their petunias, eyes glued to my house, and right in the middle of it all, Karen, president of our HOA, face splotchy and red, screeching on my lawn with Richard, her husband nodding like some bobblehead. Leo stood like a stone on our porch, arms crossed, pure calm, a wall between chaos and our home. I pushed past the looky-loos and demanded, "What's going on here?" Karen spun on me, wild-eyed. "Your son assaulted me. I was performing a routine inspection and he attacked me. I want him arrested." Leo just shook his head, not even bothering to dignify it. I know my son, disciplined to his core, never once in his life raised a hand in anger. I turned to the young officer, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere but here. "What's this about, officer?" I forced my voice to stay even. He sighed. "Ma'am here says she was using an HOA master key to inspect for a violation. Your son refused her entry." Karen erupted. "He threw me off the porch." Richard chimed in. "He's a menace, a violent thug." That word thug, aimed at my Marine son, boiled my blood, but I held it in. Leo finally spoke up, voice cool and clear. She tried to force her way in. When I blocked her, she started hitting my chest with her clipboard. I warned her to stop. She didn't, so I removed her from the property. Simple matter of fact. The officer turned to Karen. "Did you have a warrant to enter the premises, ma'am?" Karen opened and closed her mouth like a fish. "I'm the HOA president. The bylaws give me the right." The older cop cut in. "Bylaws don't trump state law, ma'am. That's breaking and entering. That shut her up real quick." Leo, ever prepared, held up his phone. "And I have a video of the entire thing." Just like that, the air went out of Karen. She looked like a punctured balloon. Richard suddenly queasy. The older officer nodded, told Karen and Richard to go home. Not arrested yet, but you could feel the threat hanging in the air. As Karen stormed off, she shot me a look, pure hatred. Not the look of someone wronged, but a tyrant who'd just been humiliated, and I knew right then this wasn't over. She'd come through my front door and failed, but now she'd come at us from every other angle she could find. War was officially declared. Let me tell you why this stung so bad. I didn't move to this cookie-cutter suburb because I loved beige siding and perfect lawns. My hands are more at home with grease and busted knuckles than HOA rules. After my wife Sarah passed, the old house was just too much, too many ghosts. My brother Dave, the lawyer, suit, shiny shoes, always steady, found this place for me. Said it was safe, quiet, a good place for Leo and me to start fresh. For a while he was right. Leo and I kept to ourselves. I turned my garage into a shrine for Bessie, my cherry red '78 Ford F-150. Every bolt, every shine of wax, that's 5 years of memories with my son. When we moved in, the HOA was just a bunch of folks making sure the community pool wasn't full of leaves. The president then was a sweet retired teacher. But when she moved away, nobody wanted the job except Karen. She campaigned like she was running for Congress, promising prestige with Richard trailing behind. They won because no one else bothered. Almost overnight, the rules multiplied: garden gnomes, mailbox tilt, even mulch color. It was all Karen's kingdom now. I stayed out of it, kept my lawn neat, painted my house the approved shade, just wanted to be left alone. But I saw what happened to my neighbors, old folks fined for nothing, young families stressing over window trim color. HOA meetings went from potluck to kangaroo court, Karen, the judge, Richard, the grinning executioner. They walked the neighborhood like royalty, her with a clipboard, him with a tape measure, sniffing out violations. The first time they targeted me, it was Bessie. She gleamed in the sun, and Karen looked at her like she was filth. Richard's look was something else, possessive, greedy, almost like he'd been cheated out of her. A week later, I got my first violation, unapproved vehicle color. Bessie's red, straight from the factory. I laughed. Then the notices kept coming. That's when I knew they wanted her gone. After the blow-up with Leo, I knew they'd come harder. The police called 2 days later. Karen tried to press charges on Leo. The DA shut it down fast. Leo's video did the trick. They even warned Karen about false reports. For a second, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd back off. Nope. Tyrants just get more creative. First came the envelope, official-looking, designed to scare. Bessie's color, they said, violated neutral palette rules. Next week, a letter about an oil leak. She's cleaner than my own bed. Then they called her a commercial vehicle, then cited tire width. The fines stacked up death by 1,000 paper cuts. My brother Dave told me, document everything. Go to the meeting. Make your case. So I did photos, manufacture specs, the works. HOA meeting night. The place felt like a trial. Karen and Richard at the front, 2 terrified board members beside them. I laid out my case calm as I could, but Karen didn't even look at my evidence. Inspection committee deemed these violations valid. Motion carries. Just like that, $7 $500 in fines, due in 30 days. That number, $7 $500 for parking my truck in my own driveway, hung in the air like a threat. I almost lost it right there. Flipping a table crossed my mind, but I kept it together, walked out slow. They thought they'd broken me, but all they'd done was start a fight they couldn't finish. Dave said the legal path was murky. HOAs have crazy power, can put a lien on your house, even foreclose. The system, he said, was designed to bleed you dry. I realized then playing by their rules was pointless. I started gathering allies, folks like Mrs. Gable fined $500 for wind chime tones. And Buddy Carl, 2 doors down, retired mailman, neighborhood's unofficial eyes. He saw a shady contractor van showing up at Karen's late at night. Executive Contracting Solutions, never legit. I dug in. Found business filings connecting Karen's cousin to the company. Found neighbors forced to use that contractor after getting fined. If they didn't, they'd get more violations. It was a classic shakedown. I built a file fraud conspiracy, extortion. But if I just handed it to the cops, Karen would lawyer up, twist it around, drag it through court, and bury me in paperwork. That's when Leo, home on leave, sat me down. Dad, she's using the rules to break you. Sometimes you have to choose the battlefield. It hit me if I wanted justice, I had to expose them in public, not just in court. So I baited a trap. Made a burner phone, created a nervous new neighbor persona, emailed Karen about paying a compliance deposit to avoid trouble. Richard couldn't resist. He set up a meeting, asked for $5,000. Then when I mentioned my brother's project truck, sent a photo of Bessie. Richard's greed got uglier. The meeting moved to an abandoned construction site late at night. Classic setup. Buddy Carl overheard Richard on the phone bragging to the contractor about destroying Bessie. Turns out he'd tried to buy her from the previous owner and got laughed at. His whole crusade was petty jealousy. Leo scouted the site, found evidence they'd planned for an ambush. We rigged the place with lights and cameras, rallied the other neighbors, everyone ready, recording, live streaming. At 10 sharp, the van rolled in. Richard and his goons stepped out, tools in hand, ready for destruction. As soon as they moved for Bessie, I hit the lights, bam, floodlit stage. Leo and I flanking them, a half circle of neighbors with phones rolling. Karen screeched up in her SUV, saw the crowd, and went berserk, only to watch her husband immediately try to pin everything on her. They turned on each other just as the cops rolled in, sirens blaring. The officers, same ones from before, took one look and you could see it click. Evidence witnesses everything on camera. Neighbors stepped up, handed over invoices, phone videos, proof of fraud. The contractor sang like a bird. Karen and Richard cuffed and stuffed their reign ended in a blaze of blue and red. The DA moved fast. Charges filed, HOA accounts frozen, my lien erased, every fine voided. The HOA was dissolved. In an emergency meeting, the neighborhood elected Buddy Carl as the new president. First act, he trashed every bylaw Karen ever created. Leo, packing for base, clapped my shoulder. Good work, Dad. I sat on my porch, sun on my face, Bessie shining like a badge of honor. Buddy Carl handed me a beer and joked about making cherry red trucks mandatory. For the first time in months, I laughed. See, they tried to break me, but all they did was build a community ready to fight back. In the end, justice wasn't a judge's gavel, it was a floodlight, a phone camera, and a neighborhood that decided enough was enough. That's my story now. I want to know yours. Where's the line between law and revenge in your eyes? Would you have handled it differently? Let's hear it. Drop a comment below, because in a world full of Karens, we all need to know whose side we're on when the chips are down.